I think if you asked the average college football fan what Colorado State's record was last year, they would not guess 8-5. You just simply probably wouldn't guess that. With everything that they went through last year, especially the struggles early on, there probably weren't a ton of people that thought this team had a ton of success. That speaks to Jay Norvell's coaching. Now, he has a big challenge ahead of him, especially with the number of players that you lose to the transfer portal, to the NFL draft. There's a lot of work to do, but if you trust someone to do things at the group of five level, it's Jay Norvell. Today, we're going to take a look at the top players that will contribute for him this year, and we'll also take a look at who we should expect big things from in 2025, as well as look at the schedule and put together what we think the final record could be. Before we do that, though, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video if you're a Colorado State fan, or if you're just learning about college football fantasy, whatever it is. It helps the channel grow. It helps us grow as a community, and this is the best sport in the world to cover, and it's not possible without all of you. If there's one player that's going to have a profound impact on this team, it's the quarterback position. Braden Fowler Nicolosi has to play better, plain and simple. Now, this isn't a guy who's played poorly. It's a guy who I think has to take things to another level for this team to be successful. He has a ton of new faces catching the football for him. He has a handful of new offensive linemen that are going to be blocked for him. He'll have a new running back one. There's plenty of change, and sometimes that means you have to do it yourself. And this is a guy who's a multi-year starter for Jay Norvell. He should know this system like the back of his hand. He should have the ability to take his game to another level. This is a guy who's definitely capable of throwing for 25 touchdowns and over 3,000 yards. If you have the right guys in place, we'll talk about some of them. If you have the right guys in place, you feel like you're in a really good spot to make big plays. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, again, this is a group that lost a ton of experience, and the secondary is no exception. But Aiden Hector's return gives them at least one guy that knows how to play football at a high level. And getting the rest of those guys up to speed might take some time. It might honestly take a little bit of time because you lost a ton of experience. When you lose Dom Jones, Dominic Morris, Henry Blackburn, and Jack Howell, as well as Elias Harry and Isaiah Asisima, you lost a ton of experience on your secondary, and defending the pass isn't going to be easy. Fortunately, in practice, you're going to get a lot of reps going against the pass with what Jay Norvell runs. So you have guys that have opportunities in front of them. It's just a matter of how do they step up. Aiden Hector's a really good player. Can move all along the secondary, can play a little bit of nickel, can play a little bit of safety. We'll see where they line him up this year, but he is someone that takes on more of a leadership role, which is just as important as his production. Kendi Wakalanji is a guy that probably a lot of people don't know, but someone who could be set up for a big year. 35 tackles last year, 6 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. This is a guy who has the talent to be disruptive. And when you're facing some of the challenges that this program is in terms of the back end, you need guys to step up in the front seven. On the defensive line, you lost a ton of players that are going to be relied on this year. And if you can't find guys to step up and recover for some of those weaknesses, it's going to be a long year. The defensive line has a lot of potential, and it'll be fun to see what they can do to help that secondary that's going through a bit of a transition. We talked about this before, but a new running back comes in to take over that starting spot, Justin Marshall. And this is someone who I think a lot of people don't know, but he is going to have a big time impact. And he kind of did last year. 746 yards, nearly averaged 5 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. Now, when you think of Jay Norvell's offense, you don't necessarily think you're going to get a guy that's going to run for over 800 yards. You probably expect him to be more of that pass catching back, but Justin Marshall is someone that can step up in a big way, can definitely play a role in the passing attack, but will also do some damage running the football. And right now, that could be something they need early on. While that passing attack gets acclimated and new guys step up for the talent they lose, it's going to be a little bit of time before they rely on that passing attack more than a rushing attack. And Justin Marshall gives them some peace of mind knowing that they can at least start things on the ground before they go to the air. Now, one of those guys that I'm excited to watch this year is Jordan Ross. Only 15 catches, but had 218 yards and 1 score. Wasn't a top 3 option last year. When you have Torrey Horton, Caleb Goody, and Jamari Person, you're not going to be a top option, plain and simple. But this is a guy that they've been very excited about, and they obviously are happy that he's stuck around as a freshman to do what he did and not enter the transfer portal is going to speak to what this staff did to keep him around. Again, he is someone who's ready to take on a bigger role, and if they can get him more targets, you feel like he's going to have a really big year for this offense. Going back to the defense, the linebacker position, I think has a lot of potential to be really fun this year. Owen Long had 45 tackles last season, and you'd like to see him be more disruptive. You'd like to see them be as good as they were in terms of creating tackles for loss, in terms of creating sacks, creating pressure, and the linebackers play a role in that. You obviously want the defensive line to do more of that, but the linebackers can play a big role. This is a young guy that stepped up in a big way last year, and I think the sky's the limit for him in 2025. Joining him will be an interesting transfer when you go from Iowa State, and Jacob Ellis had a good year at Iowa State. 41 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. There were definitely a lot of injuries with Iowa State's linebackers. There are definitely a lot of inconsistencies with that group. So I don't know what contributed to him to transferring, but he joins a Colorado State defense that's looking for someone to step up. Owen Long is one of those guys, and Jacob Ellis has the ability to be that other guy. Another wide receiver to keep an eye on is Armani Winfield, 6'2", 205 pounds. Caught 38 balls last year, 341 yards, only averaged 9 yards per catch, so you'd like to see him stretch that out a little bit, and also had 2 touchdowns. But having Armani Winfield and Jordan Ross return in 2025 gives Braden Fowler Nicolosi some familiarity with the guys coming back, and that should give him more confidence early this season. Jacquez Evans had a big year in 2022, 106 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, but that was also 2022. It's now 2025, and this is someone who hasn't had that type of production. You know, he was at Western Kentucky another year, transfers to Baylor last year. Things just didn't work out in Waco. Now he comes to Colorado State, and he could have a really fun season for the Rams. Again, this is a Rams team that was able to get to the quarterback at times, but overall, I think you were expecting some different things. You were expecting the ability to make more plays and be more disruptive, and he has the ability to affect that. There's a reason why they went out and got him. There's a reason why they addressed the front 7 in the transfer portal, and if Jacquez Evans can get back to his 2022 form, you feel really confident about this team. And finally, we'll go back to the offensive line. The offensive line is a really interesting group. Aaron Karras coming back at tackle gives them some familiarity. I think there's some good depth, but also you lost 2 first-team All-Mountain West players in Jacob Gardner and Drew Moss. So that's going to be tough to replace. You just simply won't do that with one guy, but at the same time, you feel like you're in a good spot with him coming back. You feel like you have some talent that can help the new guys get acclimated. And if this group wants to thrive, if the skill positions are going to have success, it's the offensive line that's going to have to step up, and Karras plays a huge role in that. Next, we go to the schedule. The schedule is going to be a tough one, especially early on. And again, when you look at what they did last year, it was not a good start. You found a way to bounce back. It could be more of the same this year, unfortunately. There's no over-under set right now for them. If I had to guess, it'd probably be around 6. At Washington is not a great way to start anybody's season. Northern Colorado is going to give you your first win. Then you have a bye week to figure out how you're going to get through UTSA, Washington State, at San Diego State, Fresno State, Hawaii, and at Wyoming. Now, Wyoming is the easiest game of those, potentially. Maybe it's San Diego State, but UTSA and Washington State, you could be sitting at 1-3 heading into October 4th at San Diego State. And what is the mindset of this team going to be if that is the case? That's why I have the floor at 5-7, but I do think 8-4 is the ceiling. If they figure things out early, if they're able to beat UTSA, maybe pull off an upset against Washington State, then you're looking at a much different outlook for the rest of the season. But the Mountain West is so tough. You have to play Fresno State. Hawaii is going to be better. You have to play UNLV, and you have to travel to Boise State. There's multiple losses on this schedule. It's just going to be a matter of how many. But also, this is a team that could surprise a lot of people. If the quarterback is able to take a step forward, if Fowler Nicolosi has what it takes to be that 3,000-yard passer, a 25-touchdown guy, maybe you're looking at a much different season. If the wide receivers step up and replace the talent they lost, you feel good. If the defensive line steps up in a big way, there's a lot of questions that Jay Norvell has. But like we saw last year, this is one of those teams that you simply just can't count out.